your shoulder makes your skin crawl. And we only come alive after nightfall. I've been singing in the shadows, slipping through the streets. Roll up right beside you, or right to my feet. Something's right behind you, hope that it's not me. Something's right behind you.
All right.
All right,
Guess
all right,
who
all right.
we got Clifton motherfucking Land in here doing another YCS, going in. Every YCS you went in, you was like, oh, I'm going to go top it, going by my name.
Hey,
So tell me.
If they don't hit Branded Fusion, I'm going to keep playing it.
So true.
So-
So tell me what you did, what you played, and how'd you do?
I played Branded, Despia again.
Did you play it last YCS too?
No, I played Purrely. I top Richmond with Purrely.
Oh my God. Looks like your 2 decks.
I know, so I had to switch it up this time because I didn't hit Sanctifier or Branded Fusion. So I was like, hey. But yeah, I got top 16. I lost in top 16 to Cameron Neal. But he's the one who, he won. Yeah, game 2, he played out of his mind. So shout out to him. But yeah, no, good event. I love Raleigh. That's a really, really good. That is a strange city, I feel like, for an event to be in. Like, because usually they're in like Charlotte, you know, the huge cities.
Yeah.
But no, Raleigh's super nice. So good event, good week and everything. I literally just got off the plane.
Literally got Harris said, I'm going to do big performance.
We have
We're
to,
going
we
right
have
in.
to.
All right, let's see what we got up in here.
All right, standard stuff. 3 Aliber. Maybe not so standard. I don't know. 3
What?
Cartesia.
Yeah, what's up with the 3 Cartesia?
Dude, I've been like a huge proponent of 2 just because it's super accessible through like Branded Lost. You play Fusion Deployment, you know, to get it out and stuff. And it's not necessarily a starter. You have to have it in combination with another card. And I'm not playing any like of the Frankfurt stuff, so no patchwork, no edge chain or anything. Because I figured Droll was going to be super popular going into this specific like kind of 1 week format, you know, before we get Legacy Destruction, but with the new ban list. So Droll was going to be a lot of people's decks because it's decent against Voiceless and it's really, really good against Fire King. And I figured a lot of people are going to like hard veto to like go towards Fire King instead of like Pure because, you know, it's just like the more standard version of the deck. It didn't really get hit, whereas Pure got hit a little bit more with Link Rebo and the banning of the synchros and stuff. And so Droll's really good against Fire King, so I thought people were going to be playing more Droll. And I was right. A lot of Droll, so I wanted to stay away from patchwork and stuff like that because Droll's not good against Branded, so I don't want to make a card that's already not good against my deck, you know, better. I want them to have as many dead cards as possible. It's kind of like one of the best things about Branded. Hand traps don't really bother it too much. So yeah, I want to max out on Cartesia. That way I could like play through board breakers or like boards and just stuff easier. It's just like a super, super good and grindy card. It's very good at like dodging stuff. There's a lot of effect negation in the format. You know, there's Mourner, Imperm, Veiler, all sorts of stuff like that.
All that targeted
Yeah,
stuff.
all of it. So I wanted to max out on this since I have a pretty low monster count since I'm not playing the Edge Imp stuff. So, but yeah, this card was amazing all weekend. Very, very glad I played 3. There would definitely be 3 in my decks from now on. This super, super cool. Super, super solid card.
That's fair. That's fair.
1 Quim. I feel like that's pretty standard. Some people like bumping it up, but I mean, you just never ever need to. The game usually doesn't go on that long. Most of the time you're just searching it off like Branded Lost, or during the end phase you're dumping Titaniclad to summon it or something. Yeah, or it's a Despia monster, so you can summon it off Branded opening. So kind of same thing as Cartesia. You always have access to it. You don't need it for like any super specific combo. If you can like normal summon this and then dump Cartesia and then play Branded Fusion, it makes the combo like super crazy. But she's not mandatory for any combo. She's more of like a super just utility card. So you don't need her, but yeah, one's fine. But like once again, she doesn't do anything on her own. So like
in combination.
Yeah, in combination she's good, but yeah, you want this deck pairs well with a lot of other cards. So yeah, just one.
Has that synergy.
Yeah. 3 Albaz. I think Albaz has to be at 3. I mean, summon it off Fusion Deployment. It's godly. Even normal summoning this card is so good. I won so many games just normal summoning Albaz.
It's so scary.
Yeah, like just into like a normal like Snake Eye board or something. So if their hand's really good, or if they're playing like just the pure, you know, they end on like Appaloosa and stuff. So sometimes you have to like bait out an Appaloosa or something, and then you can do Albaz stuff. But against like some of the regular versions of the deck that weren't making Appaloosa, or like Fire King, if they weren't making Appaloosa, they were just making Whale, or if they were playing the Synchro version where they did like the Dissipator and Omega stuff, you could just like normal Albaz and then threaten sucking up like one of their guys immediately. So really, really good. There's a lot of times, even if they did have Appaloosa, I would just normally use Defect, discard a card, and it would make them use Appaloosa, and then I would like thrust, talents, and then do something, and then the Albaz was still on field, so then I could special summon Cartesia, and then do stuff. So yeah, it always demands an answer. You know, just always having one in deck so you can summon it off Fusion Deployment or like in-face Titaniclad is super, super good. The card's just really good. Even against Flunder. Like, I played Flunder on stream, but then I played Flunder the last round of Swiss day 1, and this single-handedly won me, like, I'm pretty sure game 2 and 3. I mean, he just goes first. Normal's Impin. Thankfully, he didn't have map. But you know, fusions are already pretty good against Impin because you can summon them in defense mode and like activate effect. But if you can like answer the Impin before having to do that, it gets much better. So there's a lot of times where I'll just be like, normal Albas, discard, suck it up, make Titaniclad or Renbrum, and then start playing. It just made it so much better. Little, I guess, effective if they have map, but yeah. Albas is just fantastic card, man. Engine requirements, tragedy, kind of have to play it just to dump it off of branded fusion. Helps you search like Aliber, and then Aliber can add your branded and lost, or branded and red, branded lost, or you can dump it and then search Quim if you haven't used your normal summon, and then you can do some crazy stuff from there. Also, just good for like in the graveyard, banish it to reset some stuff. I only play one branded in red, so this is kind of how you usually like loop that card and stuff like that. But yeah, I mean it's not bad to draw either. It's a super solid card. One Albion. So many people play multiple copies of this card, and they are absolutely insane. This card's trash, and I stand by it, but it is mandatory for the regular puppet combo. You have to search it off Branded and Lost, and then activate this to dump Albas, so you can use Branded and Red on your opponent's turn to make Sanctifier Dragon.
So, did that free draw ever come up like to where like you drew into something crazy?
No, you don't need the extra card. Most of the time, I would like summon Cartasia, and then I would go like activate Albion, dump random card for cost, and then chain Cartasia to fuse it and this away. That way I still got the dump, and then you're not going to make Granguinol without having to use another card in my hand.
Right.
So, yeah, because it still dumps, and then it just sends itself to the graveyard with Cartasia.
Engraved and
yeah,
stuff.
and then next turn, it's engraved still, because you fuse away with Cartasia, it didn't go to the bottom of your deck, so then you can just activate it again next turn to dump Retribution and stuff. No, you never need the draw. Once again, like why
playing? Them lines is crazy, I tell you.
Exactly. Like, why playing a draw if you don't have to? It's kind of just another thing like that. You only ever need it to search off of Branded Lost.
And how many people, so as you see, how many people at the YCS were like main deck control? You see it a lot?
A lot, yeah.
Yeah,
a lot.
That was scary.
Oh my gosh, game 2, Cameron Neal in top 16, he kept it in against me.
Oh my.
I know. It actually won him game 2.
Oh Lord.
It was kind of funny because I had to start my turn by normal summoning Aliber and grabbing Branded Fusion, and he drolled me. But and initially I was like, okay, that's a -1 for you. It doesn't really like do anything to my deck. But I also opened Branded Lost, so I didn't get to search off Branded Lost, which was kind of weird. But it actually did end up mattering. I was one kind of interaction away from like stopping his like crackback play, and I would have had it because I ended on the Mirror Jade and stuff, and the Branded Lost would have searched me Mercurier.
Yeah, so you had the extra line.
Yeah. So funny enough, it worked out for him, but I do not recommend keeping control of Lockbird against
because I was watching the features and I was like, he's drolled that man?
No,
Oh my god.
No, yeah, Droll was super popular this weekend, but yeah, it's not good against Branded, but yeah, you only need one of those cards. Just search it whenever you need it.
Yeah, that's fair.
One Mercurier broken to search off of Branded.
How often did you banish it?
Oh my god, only like once or twice. Most of the time, if you get shifted, this is like the card you want to dump because then you can get a Cartesia and you can like start doing stuff, or you can grab like Shredda Dragon or something. So like for your next turn follow up. But it's really good is because a lot of people don't know that you can use its effect while it's on the field. And it mentions Albas, so there's a lot of like cool times where I'll like use it on my turn or something. Like there was one time where I got nibbed while I was doing the combo, and then I Mercuriered him, and then in face I got out Quim with Titaniclad, and then my opponent's turn I used Mirror Jade, like banish one of their guys, and then I triggered Quim,
summon it back.
I summoned it back, and then used a monster effect, and I just sent it to the graveyard and get it again.
That's sick, bro. So see, like you never understand like those lines that come up, bro.
Yeah, kind of cute little interactions like that, and I mean it's just super good when it gets banished, just being able to search or anything, like using it and then just banishing it with like Saronir, that comes up a lot randomly, and then just being able to search something like that. Super good. And just whenever it's banished, it adds a Cartesia too, and most of the time you can always special Cartesia because you have Albas in the graveyard. So yeah, it's an engine requirement. I sided out a lot going second, depending on like the matchup and stuff. But yeah, really good. Brandon doesn't really have like monster negate or like any effect negation kind of like that, so it's good to have like one to search.
Yeah, at least one that you can always search in your combo.
Best card of the deck. Gimmick Puppet, except when you hand it to a Flunder player.
Yep, we literally talked about it. And when do my full code uninterrupted.
Yeah, but in a
in
like a 12-round tournament, like a WowCS or something, it's just super good to have auto wins like this in your deck.
How often did you resolve Puppet though?
Oh my god.
Throughout your YCS.
A lot. A lot.
Like,
including against a Flunder player.
Oh my god, so many Puppet actions.
And I never sided out, so I did it a bunch going second too.
Oh my
Like
god.
there was a bunch of times where like I would lose the roll, go second, and then I would like crack the opponent's board and then set up the Gimmick Puppet lock, like pass back to my opponent, and I would just puppet them. And they'd be like, "What?"
Like, dang, you play that? Yeah, going second.
Yeah, they're like,
second Puppet's gonna.
They're like, "That's still in your deck," and I'm like, "Oh yeah, some guy made me go first."
Oh.
What's it called? Game 2. And then, because I guess he figured I sounded this out, and I puppeted the shit out of him.
Oh my God, bro. Like
So,
the hard punish.
Yeah, I was kind of like, oh, I got him.
That was close.
But yeah, super, super good card. Standard stuff, kind of like engine requirements again.
Did the second starter never come up?
No, I never need it.
Just the 2?
Yep, you don't ever really want to draw it. I mean, it's good in the mirror. It's like decent against Voiceless. It's okay against the pure version too, if you can like snipe the IP and stuff, but that's not. Yeah, IP, SP Little Knight, those cards are not threats to branded. Appaloosa isn't really a threat against branded. I mean, nothing is really.
Yeah.
Like, the pure matchup is, and Fire King, those matchups are just so easy. It's the non-engine that usually kind of like rocks a deck a little bit, like playing into their board on top of them having like an Ash or Branded Fusion or like the Veilers and Imperm, stuff like that. That's usually where it starts like making a difference. But if they just have like engine, I'm killing them every time. I've broke some crazy boards over the weekend. Because I don't play any hand traps, I just play all breakers and stuff. But yeah, you just need the one to like dump off a Granguinol and stuff like that, because they can dump a branded card, so you can dump like Retribution or Branded Fusion, whatever piece you like need for the puzzle. That comes up a lot. And then Leblanc, you always need to send it off Branded Fusion to do the regular puppet lock, because you have to tribute the Albion in order to summon this, and then this places the Branded Lost, and then you have Cartesia and this to fuse for Granguinol, and then Granguinol dumps the puppet, and then that's when the Lost adds Albion, and then you activate Albion, dump the Albas, draw whatever card, and then during the end phase, the Albion that you tributed gets branded in red, and then during the end phase, you add back Cartesia, because you fuse with this, and then the Albion was the graveyard, and then on your opponent's draw phase, you just flip branded to red, target the Albaz that you just dumped last turn, and that and the Cartesia makes Sanctifier. And then your opponent literally cannot respond at that point. You can beat Droplet, Ghost Bell, Bestial.
I've watched it. It's,
literally anything.
It's disgusting.
The only thing you can't beat is a spell card, so you can't beat like Call by the Grave or like Foolish Return, something like that. But it's okay. But yeah, absolutely amazing.
How often did it get asked? we know that card got asked so many times. Well, did it get asked so many times?
Yeah. It got asked a couple times.
It like it never mattered.
No.
Or
no, I don't think.
a case where it did matter?
No, I don't think there was ever a time that it got asked and ever mattered. Even on stream, it got Curse Sealer for Vince Bell. It didn't matter. That's like my favorite like misconception about this deck. Everybody's like, oh, it's Branded Fusion Ash pass top deck. And like, don't get me wrong. Sometimes it happens. Yeah. But I mean, like, I've played a lot of games with like Snake Eye and stuff, and I've definitely normal summoned Ash, got it impermed, and passed. You know, like sometimes if your hand only has one engine card, you just have one engine card. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? So, but the best part about this card is it's incredibly recyclable. You know, next turn you can always get it back with like Retribution, reset it off Tragedy, or just search another one with Albion or something. Yeah.
Because they don't kill you. Sometimes you can put up a fight where it doesn't. And you're just like, I'm gonna do it again.
There were even a couple times where my hand was just good enough to like puppet lock them without activated Branded Fusion. So I just skipped it.
Oh my God! Getting puppeted without the activated Branded Fusion.
Yeah, because like there's a lot of times. There was one time specifically where the guy was like, he was like, I didn't ash your Granguinol whenever you dumped the puppet because I was waiting for you to activate Branded Fusion, but I opened Branded in red, so I was just able to make Sanctifier on his turn, and then the Granguinol puppeted. And then
the ash in his hand.
Yeah, and then Granguinol's a spellcaster, so the Branded in red makes the Albaz and the Granguinol the Sanctifier. And then he was like, I held the ash the whole time for you to activate Branded Fusion, and you did it.
And then I got puppeted.
Branded Opening. This is like one of the best cards in the deck, especially this format. Yeah, card was already super good. You had to max out on it to get to Quim and Alimer and stuff. You know, consistency is key. But it's super good, especially now because of fire. You can protect against a lot of things that destroy, such as like the Kieran pops and stuff like that. Princess in graveyard. Whenever it like summons back to like pop a card. Brandon doesn't care too much about destruction because most of the time, like if they pop your Leblanc when it's trying to fuse, you know, you're like, okay, it dies. I'm still gonna put it back another card from your Jade. Same as like Albion and stuff. You don't care about it too much. But it does help with protect with like destruction and stuff. So it does come up a lot. I mean, the card's just super nice.
Opening protect is just always the way.
It is. Brandon lost. I don't even know broken.
It's on the field.
Absolutely amazing.
You got to deal with it.
Like, I mean, there was been times where like I'd start my turn, and I'd be like, normal Aliber, add this, and they like don't trigger their temple to like bring up their card, or they're like wait on the Flamberge, like IP wait me for to play it a bit, and I'm just like activate, and like by then it's either too late or they have to do a shitty play where they're like, Flamberge, bring up IP, make SP just to manage this. And that is totally fine with me.
Cool.
Yeah, because if they don't and I activate Branded Fusion, they literally cannot activate a card for the rest of the game. Because you're just like, you're adding something. On summon, you can't use Flamberge, you can't use Temple. So I'm like, on summon, effect, banish your Flamberge. And then, this adds Mercurier. So now it turns off their IP, even if it was on the field. It turns off Princess. Appaloosa,
absolutely
everything.
insane.
Card is incredible. Really good against playing around like a Backrow and stuff.
Yeah.
If you know how to do it. Like really good against like Flunder. If you can like fuse chain link 1 so you can keep your stuff like a Warlord Furious Dragon and things like that. You can just like quick effect pop out their stuff. Guardian Chimera.
Yep.
Can't respond to it. You can pop their Dreaming Town.
That was
Stun
in your
decks.
Runick match. Your stun. He had to immediately destruction the loss.
He had to. He had
Because
to.
it didn't, he was like it was over.
Yeah.
That game was so nice to watch.
Really, really good card.
You piloted it very well.
You have to. I mean, like those stun decks.
Ah.
They're annoying, but like if you know how to beat them, like you know like the interactions of the deck. I mean, those decks kind of have like a gimmick, and once their gimmick kind of like falls through, I mean, they just crumble.
Yeah.
You know, so. Brandon in red, you only need 1. Once again, card it's searchable, it's incredibly accessible, it's recyclable with Retribution and Strategy, and you never ever really need more than 1. It's like good at playing through boards, but going first, most of the time you don't ever want to see this card because it doesn't help really extend your combos.
Right.
Unless your hand is already good, like you have Brandon Fusion, Aliber and stuff. And most of the time, if you already have Brandon Fusion, Aliber and stuff, you are you're good to go, and you can get to this card anyways. So yeah, you only need 1. You don't want to contribute to break hands. I'm at 42 cards, which I'm not a fan of, but it's what I could get it down to. Most people are playing like 50 plus, and that's I will never enter trying to know a 50 plus unless grass comes back. So yeah.
Got to make it green, but it ain't that green.
Yeah. 3 fusion deployment, God card. You know, just it's a normal spell, so you can add it off of Thrust and summons Aliber or Albaz and Cartesia. Just another card that puts on a lot of pressure. I love starting with this card. This is honestly probably my favorite card in the deck. Just starting your turn, activate this, summon out Cartesia, and then normaling Albaz, or then activating Branded Fusion, like to dodge everything is so awesome. This card's
Like no
incredible.
Veiler, no Imperm, none of that stuff.
Nothing.
Just gonna
Like
dodge
you're safe for the entire turn. 3 talents, 3 thrust, 3 droplet, 3 super poly. All breakers, no hand traps. I guess we'll talk about this one last because it's the weirdest. This was the best card in my deck. I guess outside of like Branded Fusion and stuff. Just activating a card, then responding to it, and then you chaining Forbidden Droplet is amazing.
Negating and half and like,
Yeah.
yep, you're dead.
Like there were so many times where it would just be like activate Branded Fusion, and then they would be like effect, respond to it, negate, and I would just be like, yeah, chain Droplet, send it in another card, negate your board, I win. Probably the coolest interaction I did with this, it was the last round I played against Flunder, last round of day 1. He had Impin and a Dreaming Town, and it was my turn. And I did something to like threaten like Impin and stuff. I might have like Branded Fusion and stuff already and started like kind of playing into it. And then we got to the point where I tried to exit my main phase because I was going to enter battle and start doing stuff. And then he was like still in main phase, activate Dreaming Town. So he normal summons Eaglin because he's going to start like doing stuff on my turn. And he was like Eaglin Chainlink 1. And I was like Chainlink 2, called by the grave, target his Impin in his graveyard because he already had an Impin on field, and then Chainlink 3 Forbidden Droplet, send the Called by the Grave to negate the Eaglin. So it turned off both cards. And I was like, cool, I'll stay in main phase 1 and play a much more.
Oh my god.
And I was able to kill him that turn, so it was super nice. But yeah, just the interactions with this card is super awesome. There's a lot of normal spells and quick play spells in this deck. So there were even times where I like activated this, and then they would chain a card, and then I would chain like another quick play like Branded Opening, and then chain this just to get like full value out of the card. Yeah, it can also just normal Aliber effect. And they're like, yeah, I'll Imperm, and I'm like, chain to get a card and get my search. There's a lot of good implications with this deck.
Juicy
This
Drip.
card. Yeah.
Really good.
Amazing. Called by the Grave. Yeah.
Gotta play.
Talents and thrusts, just
how
board
did those
breaking cards. Amazing. Just this being able to take like Appaloosa or Threaten cards is super good. I feel like a lot of people kind of worry about talents in this deck because you can't play link monsters, and like a huge benefit of talents is like taking something and then like linking off with it and like climbing and stuff. Whereas Branded, you can't do that because Branded Fusion locks you into fusion summons. So most of the time, you can have trouble getting rid of the monster. But what I try to normally do is activate this to like take an Appaloosa, which happened a lot. And I would the Appaloosa would still have like 1 to 2 negates, so then I could play my Branded Fusion comfortably. Because if he Ash Blossomed it, I'm gonna negate his I'm gonna negate it with Appaloosa. You know what I'm saying?
Use your monster for me.
Yeah, it forces out IP, all sorts of stuff like that. But yeah, the best thing to do with it, which I did a bunch of times, is I would like activate it and then take their Appaloosa or something and then use a negate. And then whenever I Branded Fusioned and did stuff, I would use the Albion to fuse, and then I would banish the Alabaz and then their extra deck monster on the field in order to make the Mirror Jade. You would kind of just skip the Leblanc step while also dealing with their monster.
Right, get rid of it.
Yeah, that's normally kind of how you want to use this card. I never drew. I want to say I looked at the hand maybe once or twice. I took a lot. So yeah, mainly what you want to do. You just want to be breaking boards and killing people.
Yeah. But then give him a chance.
Yeah, kind of same as Thrust. You just search whatever power card you need, whether it's Talents, Fusion Deployment, or Branded Fusion. Most of the time I search Branded Fusion. I think I searched Fusion Deployment once, searched Talents a couple times, but yeah, mainly you're just searching Branded Fusion. Yeah. Incredible. Worst case, if you have to do it, you have to set fusion duplication, you know. And this was the worst card in my deck.
Really?
Yeah. I resolved it one time, and I didn't need it.
He's like extra?
Yeah, it never ever came up to where I got ashed and then was able to activate this and set this. It never came up. The only time it ever came up is I was playing against Purrely one round, and we both bricked.
Oh.
Yeah. I opened my hand. It was unplayable, unfortunately, but I had this card, so I set it and passed. He goes draw, normal summon Purrely, activate effect, reveals 3, it takes a Purrely Yeep, and I'm like, oh no, I'm dead. And he goes, poke for 100, pass.
Oh.
And I was like, oh my god, I'm in there. So I draw for turn, I drew Aliber. So normal Aliber, add Branded Fusion, activate Branded Fusion, and then kind of started doing stuff, and then I just entered battle phase, was like, poke, poke, still in battle phase. You know.
Nuke?
Yeah. But yeah, I never unfortunately got to just, so I'd probably cut this card. It contributed 2 or 3 times to brick hands. So yeah, and you always started out going second. Yeah, you don't need it. But I've never ever tried this card, so I wanted to try it for this event. But yeah, I don't think you need it. And then Branded Retribution, you have to play this card. Adds back your
Real question
spells and traps
about
and stuff.
Retribution. Did you ever use its on-field effect?
Not this event, but I should have. I lost the game in Swiss to a Kashtira guy because I did not. I added it to my hand instead. I did not think it would come up. I put him on no cards. He had a Kashtira Birth on the field. And that was it. He had no other cards on the field, no other cards in hand. And then he draws for turn. He uses Birth to, what's it called, do something. And then I use Borload Furious Dragon to, you know, quick effect, like pop itself, pop the Birth. And then, but that was like my only interaction. But I had added this to my hand during the end phase because normally I'm like, this card's dead against Kashtira. I mean, none of the cards summoned by effects really, except like Scareclaw Cash or like Rise Heart. Sometimes you can catch a Theosis, but this dude don't have any cards. So I kept it in my hand. I was like, I'm never gonna be able to use it. I have Branded Fusion in my graveyard. I want it in my hand in case I can discard it off of like an Albaz, Super Poly.
Something to get a little bit of
Yeah,
advantage
even
of
if you
what
have
it was.
Albion in your hand, you know, you can discard it to special summon Albion, and then I'm like, it'll put me far ahead. If I was afraid of setting this card and then it being like stuck there and me never being able to do anything with it. So I added it to my hand. But yeah, what ended up happening is the Kashtira Birth, I popped it with the Furious Dragon, and the card he drew for hand was Scareclaw Kashtira. So he special summoned it, banished it Theosis from his graveyard, and then triggered it, added Rise Heart, and killed me. And then so I would have
the Cole special.
I know I would have clutched up a game if I did set it, but I've used it before. I was actually trying to get to it in the Runick Stun game because you can negate like the Runick spells and special summon. So there was times where I was like trying to line it up to where I would be like Borload Furious Dragon, you know, pop his Synchro Zone, and then he would chain like a Runick spell to try to summon out Hugin and save it, and then I could chain this and negate the spell, so it would kill it.
It resolves.
So that's kind of like the game plan. But no, most of the time you dump it just to recycle your Branded Fusions and stuff. And then Super Poly.
How did Super Poly feel this event?
Good. It's a really high risk, high reward card, especially going into a format kind of like the one that we had this past weekend, I guess you could say. Just because the format's not solved. You don't know what everyone's going to play. You can make kind of educated guesses. Like we were kind of like Fire's going to be popular, Voice is going to be popular, and then maybe people will default to like kind of their favorite decks. That's usually what people do whenever a ban list hits and there's an event super close. They'll kind of go to their comfort picks. You know what I'm saying? And a popular one is like Branded, you know, stuff like that. So I was like, Super Poly, it's a pretty generic card, you know. At worst, maybe I can suck up a fireboard if someone's like doing like a weird combo ending on 2 fires, or I can use like a dark monster, like one of my guys in an IP Masquerade against Pure and stuff. And it's really good in the mirror. It's kind of like one of the ways that you can hopefully stop them from puppet locking you, like getting rid of their spellcasters and stuff on the field. But yeah, no, it was super solid all weekend. There was a lot. I sucked up a lot of IPs. I sucked up a lot of Impins too.
Get that Impin off the board.
It wasn't the greatest card of my deck, but yeah, no, it was solid. I'm glad I played it. It shined the most in when I played against Phantom Knights, the very last round of Swiss.
Phantom Knights?
Yeah.
Oh my
Hey,
lord.
shout out to that dude. He was playing like crazy, and his deck was super sick. It was like Phantom Knight, Adventure Horus, and he did like crazy combo. I wasn't able to puppet lock him. I just kind of like did like a normal like Mirror Jade combo, and the Super Poly like really bailed me out. I like Super Poly like sucked up some of his board, and then I made Mud Dragon, and then all he had left to be able to make was the what's it called, Break Sword. But I had no other cards in my field, so as soon as he made Break Sword, I just Mud Dragon. Like you can't target Mud Dragon with the Break Sword, so he was just like I have to kill him by battle, and I didn't have any cards left, so he couldn't like pop something, bring back his guys, and do stuff. So yeah, that was like the one game where it shined the most. But yeah, no, card was super good.
And would you continue to play it further?
Super Poly?
If you continue to play Branded, because we never know.
Yeah, probably. You just kind of like have to see how the format like turns out and stuff.
to see if it'll be worth it or not.
because like if the Fire King or the Fire deck inboards change and Super Poly might not be as good. Seems like it's good against Voiceless Voice if they don't have the spell card in the graveyard. Because if they don't have the spell card in the graveyard, you can suck up the guy in low. You kind of just win the game on the spot.
Yeah, it's done after that.
Especially if you have Branded Loss on the field, because then they just can't trigger anything, even if they do have the spell.
That's a terrible feeling.
Yeah. But if they do
matchup.
have the spell card in graveyard, then they can just banish it, summon the Skull Guardian, and then summon out low, and they still have the negate, and you just kind of like gained a body, and it don't really matter. So it kind of just depends on how the meta shapes up. But yeah, I think I'd keep it in. 2 Mirror Jade, 2 Albion, 1 Leblanc, 1 Sanctifier, 1 Brinbrum, 1 Titaniclad. I think this card's mandatory, but I'm pretty sure like everyone's playing it now.
I can kind of agree with that.
Yeah. Card's amazing. I mean, Quam. And
Did
it's,
any interaction with like the any fireboard where you summon Titaniclad and they can't Princess or Zealantis of the way or anything like that?
Nope, never came up.
The
It's
best unaffected.
Yeah, unaffected by monster effects. No, the best thing about this is I sucked up a couple of impins and made this because it's a monster with 2,500 or more attack. But the best thing about this is it's a super quick like OTK button. I did it on stream against the Thunder guy where you can if you have Brain Infusion, you can also always kill him in the 4 summon window because whenever you make the Albion and then you banish Albas and then the Leblanc because it's what's called 2,500 more attack and then summon this, they're super big. So if you start with like Alba or another guy, it's usually game. And then it summons Quim.
You did murder every feature match though. Let's throw it out there because you two on every feature match. It was beautiful to watch.
Gringonal.
Did the second one ever come up?
It never did. It never did.
'Cause we was talking about it
Second to
before.
crutch. Second to crutch. If you know what you're doing most of the time, you only need 1. I mean, there's some times where like 2 is cool if you had the space, but I prioritize the utility cards over it. Like if I cut Super Poly, I would definitely like second Gringonal would probably be the first card in my extra deck. It's like the 16th, 17th card. But no. Super good card. You have to have it in order to dump your Gimmick Puppet and stuff. And I use its secondary effects to banish itself to summon Quim and like Quartis a lot this weekend. Like
How often did you
5
summon
times.
Quartis? Oh my lord, How often did you summon Quartis?
I summoned Quartis like 3 times.
Quartis is dope.
Like there was one time, same guy against the Phantom Knight player. He had a huge board, like 6 monsters on the field. So like extra monster and then 5 guys because he had like full combo and I don't play any hand traps.
Yeah, he's like, I'm about to deal with it.
He had like the Griffin Rider, the token. He had a SP Little Knights, Break Sword, another guy down there. I want to say it was a Horus monster maybe, and then like the Rusty. And I was kind of like looking at the board like, how do I like try to kill him through this because I have to clear all the guys. And then it ended up coming like we were like grinding through the board, and there was a part where I had this on the field with the Cartesia, and then he banished a Fogblade from the graveyard, summoned a card, used Rusty to pop this, I want to say, and then he triggered Torn Scales to summon from the graveyard from his effect. And since it's a monster effect, I banished this and then summoned Quartis wherever he is. And then I made all of his monsters 0 because they were all in attack mode. And now I was like, I don't have to kill his monsters anymore. So I just summoned a couple other guys, and since they were all in attack mode, I just killed them over 3 guys.
Oh my god.
So sometimes you can just cheese with that. The best card about Quartis is it hard threatens Appaloosa because you summon it and you're just like a free activate effect, and they have to negate it, otherwise it goes to 0, and then Appaloosa's like done for, and you're just going to play. So worst case, it always does it. And it's just super generic. So like Aliber and like a random Light of Dark monster can always make Quartis. And it's really good with Super Poly because there's a lot of times where they have like IP or SP or something, and you normal Aliber, and then you activate its effect, they like imperm. You need to be able to get the Aliber off the field with something like Super Poly in order to go into Quartis so your Aliber can resolve. And this is like the only thing to do it. The only other thing would be like Mud Dragon or like a Garuba or something like that. But yeah, this is like the best thing to do it with.
Quartis do be strong.
It do. Super Poly targets, nothing too crazy to say about these. Pretty much just for Super Poly. There was like once or twice where I dumped this off a Gringonal to draw a card just because I already had access to everything, and I just kind of wanted to like find a more like a talents to like rip a card or a Super Poly or something like a more defensive card. Yeah. But mainly just for Super Poly. Stellia, this card's amazing. It's just super generic. The only like real interaction you have on your opponent's turn is like Mirror Jade. So a lot of other times if you've already used it and you still have like access to an Albaz or Super Poly or something to fuse on your opponent's turn, if you can make like Leblanc, you can't really make another Mirror Jade if the Mirror Jade's still on the field. So you need to have like Stellia or something to still provide another interruption. And it's good at just putting back like generic cards. Like if you make this, you can put back an Albion and an Albaz to summon this, and then you can still have the Albion back in your extra deck to dump off a Mirror Jade. So it's good at like recycling the weird stuff. And there was a bunch of times where like I would make Albion and like use Defective Fuse, and then this is like where they would Veil or Imperm it, and then I would chain Super Poly and then suck this up in like an IP or this in an SP, and then this is like an actual good card to go into, you know what I'm saying? And then that way my card still resolves and stuff like that. But yeah, Stellia is amazing. Also making like cards level 1 sometimes relevant. Guardian Chimera, no, it's mandatory.
Have to.
Yeah. I
Pop
don't-
and draw.
Yeah, I think I summoned it once or twice all weekend.
You did summon it on stream.
Huh?
You summoned it on stream, didn't you?
Did I? I was
Yeah.
definitely going to.
I think you was going to. No, you managed to get through it because you was able to pop some stuff. It was the Runick Stun player.
Yeah, because that's the line I was definitely going to, but I couldn't remember if he conceded before or not. But yeah, no, yeah. This is like the only form of backrow removal that Branded has. So like you kind of just have to play it. And then the best card in my entire deck and extra deck and everything.
MVP.
Borreload Furious Dragon. I'm so glad I played this card.
100%.
Just 2 Dark
That card
Dragon
right there.
monsters.
Best card in the deck.
Yeah, it just takes 2 Dark Dragon monsters. Phenomenal card. I knew Stun was going to be super popular, so that's why this card was in my deck. There's just so many cool stuff you could do with this card.
Put in so much work.
Yeah, you just banish like an Albion or an Albaz from your graveyard, or 2 Albaz, or like an Albaz and a Sarnier. You know, a lot of ways to get to the card. And then it's just quick effect, pop a monster you control, pop a card your opponent controls. And so yeah, you just keep doing it on either player's
Nice
turn.
floodgate. Pop.
Yeah, and it says destroy them, so they both don't have to die. So there's a lot of time where I'd be like, effects, target Cartesia, target opponent's card, and then I'd be like, chain Cartesia to fuse it and like another card away, make my Grand Guanal, and it would still resolve to pop their card.
Oh my god.
And a lot of times you could just like pop itself and pop another card if you have to, and they both die, and then you could banish Branded Opening from the graveyard to protect your fusion monster. So yeah, there was times where like even they would eventually answer this card, and then I would make Sanctifier and bring it back.
Oh man, just keep doing it.
Yeah, it's just,
The grind's real.
it
when
is.
It comes down to it.
Branded usually doesn't grind, but yeah, spot removal is just really what this deck needs. So it's good against the weird decks like Stun. It's good against Flunder because it's quick effects. You can pop like their cards in like the outside of the main phase. That way they can't like Dreaming Town you. Good against Stun. Good against like Kashtira. You can pop like Birth, which is a huge problem for Branded.
That is a super problem.
Branded Fusion puts exactly 3 cards in the
Yeah,
graveyard.
and they be like, banish all.
Yeah. Yeah, and sometimes it just comes up because you can suck up Dark Dragons your opponent has. Like against the Kashtira guy, sucked up his Dark Arm Dragon, the Annihilation, the rank 7.
Yeah, the rank 7.
Yeah, so sometimes you could just
Hey.
make it. Yeah. Yeah,
Is that
phenomenal
3K?
card.
Is that 3K body as well?
Yeah,
oh
he's
my
huge.
God. Oh Jesus.
Yep. Fantastic card. Side deck. 3 draw. I decided to play some hand traps just in case I played against any like FTK kind of style decks. Like think something like a Vanadium, you know, like an out of the norm deck where my board breakers just wouldn't matter because I effectively wouldn't get a turn.
Right.
So this was kind of like my
Something to
fail
help
safe.
you not get turn skipped.
Yeah,
so to
yeah.
speak.
And this is good against Fire King. So, but I only played like 2 fire decks, 1 in Swiss and then 1 in Top Cut. Kind of crazy. I played a lot of Voiceless.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, played a lot of Voiceless. And then this was
God,
kind
that's
of like,
such a bad matchup for a Voiceless.
and this was kind of like my meta call for like Purrely. I thought that deck was going to be like pretty representative. I played 1 in Swiss. But yeah, this is kind of like, it does the same thing as like Bestials. However, it's much better against like Fire King, for example, because you can hit, they don't always do like the Flame Birch IP play. This can actually hit Princess or Garunix or stuff out of the graveyard.
Just
and
removing cards completely.
Yep, and then against Purrely, you can snipe their spells whenever they try to rank up. So it's a little bit better than Bestials and stuff like that. So I don't think I used either of these cards because I didn't play against a lot of fire, and I just didn't draw it against the Purrely guy. But yeah, I mean, I'm glad they were in my deck just in case.
Yeah.
Thrust targets. Sided this card in a lot. Never saw it. Never had a thrust for it. Like I said, I only played 1 Purrely. Both of these cards were glued to my hand, especially this card.
Oh my God. Yeah. Duster.
I dustered a lot over the weekend. I thrusted into Duster a lot this weekend. I changed it harder to like 5 Appaloosas. Shout out to the guy I played, I think it was either round 3 or round 4. Super cool dude, but like, yeah, both games. Like game 1, I like Talents his Appaloosa. It has had like 3 materials on it. And then I just kind of went from there. Game 2, he kind of just does, I don't play any hand traps. So, you know, he just does like same board. You know, he's like IP, Flamberge, Appaloosa. And I hard open this and I'm just like main phase, start, take Appaloosa. I used Appaloosa more than he did.
Oh my God.
I'm playing Brandon. Yeah.
I don't play links. That's crazy.
Yeah, so just for like breaking boards and stuff, Change of Heart was super, super good. And it's just a good card to thrust into.
Free advantage.
Yeah. 3 Cosmic.
High Cosmic feel.
Good. Good for the glue decks. You know, it's good against like Voiceless if you like Sided and Goins first, kind of like same as Cash. It's more good against like Flunder, the stun decks, stuff like that. Can't really play. I don't want to play Lightning Storm. The card's like.
Because it makes you wait to get to the main phase. So
Yeah.
I feel like doing stuff beforehand.
Yeah, and it's a little bit more risky because Brandon puts a lot of cards on the field and stuff like that, and like afterwards might be hard. I don't want to dead draw it like after, you know. So yeah, I'm glad I played this, and it functions as like a going first card. And Brandon doesn't. I don't side any going first cards. This is like my only going first card.
Yeah.
Because most of the time Brandon doesn't really care. It doesn't need extra going first cards. You just puppet them and you win.
You're done.
Yeah, and it's just a good generic card going. What's it called? second two, same as like my other side card, evenly matched.
Oh my lord.
Because you can thrust into it, obviously,
Yeah.
and there's no omni negates in the format, so evenly matched is even better. You just clear a
Don't
lot of
resolve.
boards. And yeah, the main thing is because branded, since its game one matchup is so strong, if you win the roll, there's a lot of times where you're just puppet them, and then they will just scoop because they lose, obviously.
Yeah.
So sometimes you just need generic cards like stuff like this. You know what I'm saying? Just because you literally don't know what your opponent is playing half the time. Because they just concede as soon as they get gimmick puppeted. So sometimes my generic side would just be like evenly matched, duster, change of heart. And I would just take out, just like random stuff that probably wouldn't be,
Wouldn't be good at
yeah,
that point.
good against a deck that would concede. If they didn't concede or they like tried to play a little bit, even if they like set some back row and then like saw me like try to play and they were like, oh, I'm just gonna die. I'd be like, maybe trap deck. You know what I'm saying? But like, yeah, if they just instantly concede, I'm like, they're probably playing a combo deck. So something like evenly matched change of heart would be super, super good against them.
Just everyone makes
Everyone. Yeah,
some
I don't think
use
there's anything in my side deck else that I would have really wanted. Yeah, the only like the super iffy card I think in my deck was Super Poly, but it performed this weekend.
That's fair.
But yeah, I think that is it.
I couldn't take it. Any shout outs or anything before we get to the end?
Yeah. Shout out to everybody from Kentucky who has written me on, and
Absolutely.
everybody else who's not from Kentucky that was just like gassing me up and stuff and talking to me.
Hey,
while
chat
I'm
was wild.
I know. I'm glad. Shout out to the Cypher, for the
Absolutely.
profile and everything. Interview coming
sir.
soon. That's gonna be fun.
Hell
Shout
yeah,
out to my
dude.
team, Top Choice Gaming, all the boys. Elijah, Chester, and Zach who like came and we all roomed together. It was an awesome weekend. Yeah.
It was very good. Thank you. We out. Deuces.
Like a spider on your shoulder makes your skin crawl.